This is the biggest sham of women's health.
What the fuck, man?
Vasectomies are the new thigh tap. Alright, we're getting cozy for this video because this one's for the girls and we're gonna talk about some real shit. I have to start this with a disclaimer that I'm not a nurse, I'm not a doctor, I don't work in the medical field. I'm actually a marine biologist who just happens to feel really strongly about women's healthcare. That being said, I do come from a science background. Any bolder statements I'll be making will be backed by scientific articles, and I will link everything I cite in the description box if you want to check it out yourself. If you clicked on this video, you probably are wondering what it's like to have a copper IUD.
Since my subscriber base is mostly male, I think I should explain copper IUDs first, just in case, so we're all on the same page. I now present to you the copper IUD that I pulled out of myself. These little torture devices are shoved into your cervix hole with a stick and then left there for up to 10 to 12 years to keep you from getting pregnant.
I had a copper IUD for just under 5 years, and it's probably one of the worst choices I've made in my life thus far. To start off simply, we'll do a pros and cons list. Pros. I'm not pregnant. That's a big win. I didn't have to take a pill every day. I actually used to be on the pills before I got my copper IUD. I was on the pills from a young age, like younger than I even needed to be on them. Because, like, you know how the American doctors do. If you go into the office as a woman and have any problem that maybe could be hormones, they're like, here, eat these. So I was on the pills for a long time, probably like 6 years. And those had their whole own slew of issues, which is why I got off of them and opted for the non-hormonal copper IUD. It's so natural. More on that later. So let's move on to the cons list. I'm pretty sure the copper IUD made me literally go psychotic. Like, PMSing has always been hard. It's just a difficult thing for women. And mine got ridiculously worse once I had the copper IUD. Both in the pain aspect, I was doubled over in pain with the worst cramps you could possibly imagine every month. It was to the point where I would just lay in bed or on the couch and cry. And that's after ibuprofen. They do inform you that when you get the IUD inserted, you'll have heavier periods and more severe cramping, mainly in the first 6 months. Which, I got it inserted, was having the insane cramps and the heavy bleeding, and pushed through the first 6 months thinking, this was normal, this was expected, it'll be over soon. And then a year went by where I was having those symptoms, and I'm like, this is expected, maybe I'm just having it slightly longer than other people. 5 years later, it has not lightened up. To touch on the heavier periods, which is, again, expected, I thought they would be slightly heavier. You know, maybe just have to dump my cup one more time. compared to before getting the IUD in. Which I say dump my cup and not switch my tampon or something, because I use menstrual cups mainly because they are less waste. Like, I produce less garbage by using them. I don't know how many little plastic applicators a woman who uses tampons will go through in her lifetime, but it's more plastic than I'm willing to go through. The other reason I use the cups is because it is medical silicone, so there's no risk of like weird toxins in the cotton of my tampon that's inside of me for however long I feel like leaving it that day. Anyway, my cup that I use has measurements on it for milliliters, so I can track how much blood I'm losing every period. In this article from the National Library of Medicine, they state that although it can feel like a lot more at times, the total amount of blood lost during one period is usually about 60 milliliters. I was losing over 100 milliliters per day. That shit is not normal. Abnormally heavy menstrual bleeding, also known as menorrhagia, is defined by losing over 80 milliliters of blood per cycle. So, yeah, 100 milliliters of blood per day is just ungodly. So far on the cons list, we've talked about the pain, the incredible blood loss, and I'd say the third con was that it really, really messed up my hormones and made me go a little bit cuckoo. You might be thinking, what? It's hormone free. Guys, this is the biggest sham of women's health. I have some scientific articles to show you that aren't new. I'm sorry, I'm getting aggro because this topic really upsets me, and I wanted to keep this video like cozy and chill, but to be honest, I'm kind of mad about it. I'm pretty upset. I've got a lot to share. Anyway, okay, before we touch on that, I need this video to be a little bit more organized than I'm being right now. Let's go in chronological order. That sounds good. Here's the story of me having an IUD for 5 years and it being absolute hell. We'll start with the day I got it inserted. I had just gotten off the pill a couple months prior. Went in, asked them for an IUD. I'm like, what's your options? They're like, this one, Paragard Copper IUD, is hormone-free, completely natural. You'll love it. And I'm like, alright, any downsides? Your period will be a little bit heavier. You might be in a little bit of pain. It's not that bad. And then I'm like, amazing, that sounds great. I'm all about less ingestion of chemicals, so put it in me. The insertion process was pretty gruesome, endurable but gruesome. They put the speculum in, cranked it open. The IUD was on a stick that they shoved through my cervix hole and then put it in and pulled the stick out, which it was painful. People describe it as a pinch. I would describe it more of a stab, accompanied by some cramping. All in all, not horrible. Been through worse. But then, as I was getting home after, the cramping started setting in. I started getting like really intense, terrible menstrual cramps. And I knew it was from getting the IUD inserted. They said I'd have cramping, so I'm like, just push through. This is normal. But they started getting so bad that my consciousness was like fading in and out. I was on the brink of puking. I was curled over, and this is after taking like pain meds. So I'm just like curled up in my room over a bucket, crying and like fainting, and then waking up and fainting, and just like, what the fuck? Like, so thinking about it now, it was like so ridiculous, but like that was my reality. Thank God one of my brothers got home and happened to come in my room and find me just like, what the fuck? And he's like, what is happening? I'm taking you to the emergency room. So we go back to the doctor, and they're like check my vitals and shit. And then I told them what's up, and they're like, maybe we got placed wrong, or like slipped out, or something weird. So I'm like, yeah, just check it out. So this like ER doctor just like gloved up and was like, such a weird encounter. I'm like laying on the thing. Like, I don't even think this is a gynecologist. This is like an ER doctor, and he just like put his fingers in and was like, it feels fine. What did you like? What? I thought they would do like an ultrasound or anything else. So I'm like, what can you do about this? Like, what are we gonna do? This sucks. And he's like, I mean, we can take it out, or you can just keep suffering and it'll probably go away. I didn't want to be left defenseless against pregnancy, and I had already gone through that much pain. So I was like, maybe he's right, and I should just push through and things will get better. Very naive. So I went home, took some more pain management, and tried to knock out. This was a big turning point in my life for many reasons, such as COVID and being in my last quarter of college. You know, a lot of things were happening, but this was a key factor in me not being comfortable in my body. And I don't mean comfortable in like body image. My body image was actually increasing because once I got off of the birth control pills, I lost all of the weight that those caused me to gain. I mean, uncomfortable in my body as in just being in pain and having a lot of nervous system dysregulation. Like, the nervous system part is the biggest factor of what harmed me by having a copper IUD. Which, this part of the story, I think, is the time to bring up the scientific articles. A very new article that came out May 15th, 2025. It is May 27th, so 2 weeks ago. Finally, someone talked about this. This one's published by the American College of Obstetricians and Gynecologists, and it is them releasing new recommendations on pain management for IUD insertions and other in-office gynecologic procedures. So basically, this paper was finally calling out the doctors, being like, hey, this hurts. Address that. Send them home with some pain medicine and really let them know what's up before you do this. Because every doctor that I've watched, interviewed, or the doctor I spoke directly with was like, you'll feel a slight pinch. A slight pinch? I got stabbed in my cervix with a not even sharp stick. It's not sharp. IUDs are big. Oh my gosh. I haven't even got to the part where I mentioned that my IUD was causing me so much grief that I ripped it out myself. I am so tempted to pull out my IUD literally right now. I can feel the strings. If I do post this footage and you happen to know... I can't believe I just did that. If you want to see that process, it's my most recent upload before this one. I ripped it out on camera because a lot of people have posted videos about their IUD self-removal, but no one just like filmed themselves actually doing it. And that's the video I needed before ripping mine out. So I just figured I'll be that woman who provides that for other women who want to take it out themselves and just need to see it done first. I'm sorry that this video plotline is just like so chaotic, but this is so much to talk about. The next piece that I want to touch on is the hormonal imbalances that came from having this IUD. This hormone-free IUD, nonetheless, they totally... Whoever did the marketing for Paragard probably got a huge paycheck, man. Like, it was effective. I was fully fooled. Copper happens to act like estrogen when it's in our bodies. We would refer to that as metalloestrogen, similarly to how you've probably heard of soy products having phytoestrogens in them. So that's why people, it's mean like bullying term, but like soy boy. Anyway, there are things that aren't technically estrogen that can act like estrogen when in our bodies, and copper is one of them. So, although they're not putting estrogen in us, they might as well be, which I've got an article to support this as well, published in 2006. This is a PubMed article. Many compounds in the environment have been shown capable of binding to cellular estrogen receptors and then mimicking the actions of physiological estrogens. That's a fairly recent article, 2006. It's like, okay, well, they've already been using copper IUDs for like 30 years at that point. But what if I told you that was not news? That's not new information. I found another article from back in the 70s, 1973. So that would be 52 years ago. And they're still claiming that the copper IUD is hormone-free. Effect of copper intrauterine devices on estrogen and progesterone uptake by the rat uterus. And I know, rats, not humans, but mammals and a lot of things that we apply to ourselves were tested on rats. This study did find that the rats with the copper IUDs versus the just plain plastic control group IUDs had much higher estrogen levels, especially at the 4-year mark of having the IUDs in. So not only does it increase your estrogen levels just by being in you, this is something that builds over time. And I don't know if you guys already know this, but copper IUDs, Paragard specifically, is recommended for the use of 10 years. And they can leave it in you up to 12. Can you imagine how much estrogen dominance someone would have by the time it's been building up for 12 years? every piece of this that I'm sharing is in chronological order, but also increasing intensity of how much it affected me and sucked. The next thing is copper toxicity, which copper toxicity has a whole spectrum of impact, I would say, because some things you read call copper toxicity when you're literally like puking and shitting at the same time and super dizzy, like just full blown 100% not good. Copper is a naturally occurring thing in our body, not in the sense that we like make it with our body, but it's part of a regular human diet. It's actually essential for some functions in our bodies. But as with all good things, there's the chance of too much of a good thing. And with heavy metals in our bodies, that's a really fine line to walk. Like, copper has a whole slew of symptoms that come along with it when you have too much. Gastrointestinal issues, organ damage, neurological issues, tremors, seizures, neurological symptoms like dizziness, headache, and difficulty with coordination can develop. Blood problems. Copper toxicity can cause anemia due to red blood cell destruction, and in severe cases can lead to blood clotting problems. Mental health issues. Changes in mental state, including depression, anxiety, and psychosis, may occur. Skin changes, muscle weakness, and fatigue can also be signs of copper toxicity. So, in my experience of having elevated copper levels in my body, a lot of these are true. I wouldn't say I had any gastrointestinal issues per se, and I don't know if I have organ damage. I hope not. The neurological issues and mental health issues are the ones that stick out the most to me and are the biggest reason why I took out my copper IUD. I've never had the type of anxiety and depression that I've had since getting my IUD inserted. I've struggled with anxiety most of my life, for sure, but it wasn't really all that much worse than a typical case. But maybe about a year after getting my IUD inserted, I was in a really bad place. At that point, I finally started getting help and got diagnosed with OCD, but it's not the typical OCD people picture where it's like, oh, everything needs to be perfect and in line and wipe all the surfaces every day. That's the media portrayal of OCD, but it goes a lot deeper than that. And I'm not gonna fully dive into that in this video, but just to touch on the mental health effects, I went from being a pretty thriving person to having crippling anxiety disorder and seeing a therapist every week. Now, as far as other symptoms on this list, blood problems, I was also diagnosed anemic about a year after getting my IUD, which I was never diagnosed with that before. I can't confirm this correlation because I wasn't specifically tested for anemia before having an IUD. But to give you a hint, I got tested for it because I was showing signs that I wasn't showing until I had this little device in me. Lastly, to touch on the other symptoms portion of the list, skin changes. I have been a very clear, smooth-skinned person most of my life. The past 3 years, I've had more breakouts than ever before. And I'm not just like a pimply teen anymore. I'm 26 now, so I have developed adult acne. Now that I've taken my IUD out, I'm hoping will lighten up. I'm hoping all of my symptoms lighten up. I already have way less pain. Like I just had my first period since taking it out, and like, oh, it was night and day. I was like, I didn't even know for sure my period was about to start because the pain was so faint. Like, I'm so glad I took that shit out. Like, that alone gives me hope. Which also, I barely bled. Like, I went from having 100 milliliter a day periods to now, this past was like so light. Like, I would say like a third as much blood. I'm hoping that my neurological symptoms lighten up over time as well. Those are ones that will lighten as my body clears the copper out of my system and gets my hormones more regulated. So I'm not expecting that to be night and day results, but I can say that so far it seems at least slightly better. Which I'm gonna do a whole update video eventually once it's been more time since removing it, where I'll share like life after Paragard, like how I feel 3 months after taking out my IUD, something along those lines. So if you have something you want me to specifically talk about in that video, drop it in the comments and I'll add it to my notes list for that video. This video, I'm realizing right now, probably comes off super fear-mongery. I'm not trying to just like freak out the masses. I want to share my personal story in the most honest way I can. I just wanted to authentically give my experience with Paragard. Other people may have a different experience with it. Hopefully better if you do choose to get it. If you want my opinion, I'm not going to call this advice because I am not a medical professional. I'm not qualified to give medical advice. My opinion from my experience and watching multiple women around me, including my sister, go through having the copper IUD, going through hell, switching to a hormonal one. My opinion is that if you're gonna get an IUD, you might as well get the hormonal one, because whether you have the copper or the hormonal, you're going to receive hormonal effects on your body. And the one that is prescribed hormonal, at least is regulated how much hormones they're giving you. When you're getting hormonally affected by copper, it's more dependent on how your body reacts with the copper. Some people have a very effective liver and can just clear it out. Turns out that's not the case for me. So it's a lot more of a gamble going with something that they didn't measure out, taking in account that it is affecting your hormones. Or maybe go with a different birth control method. It's all like your body, your choice. If you're someone watching this who already got a copper IUD and are watching other people's stories to see if it's all in your head or if maybe your problems really are from the copper IUD, hi, I'll be your friend. Yes, it's not in your head. There are scientific backings for all of it. For those people, that fall under the category I just said, there is actually a Facebook support group that you would love. This is what it looks like. It's a copper IUD and toxicity support group, which, look at that, 22,000.2 members. Angel numbers. I'll be dropping the link to that in the description as well. I'm not associated with this group or the creators of it. I just am a member and have found a lot of solace, I think would be the word, while reading other women's posts and posting my own. It's support. My main point of this video and my last upload is that women's healthcare is slipping. Like, we need to talk about this. We need to make a splash because awareness is what brings change. So I'm on YouTube all the time anyway. Might as well talk about shit that matters. Plus, my most popular channel is my van channel, and the demographics of that are shockingly male. I mean, not shockingly. I guess it's just absurd that has so heavily in one direction. So this channel's for the girls, and if you are a guy watching this, because I know most of my subscribers are guys, get a vasectomy. If you don't want to have kids, get a vasectomy. They can be reversed. And all in all, a vasectomy, though there is snipping involved, I don't imagine would be that much worse than getting an IUD inserted. Also, there are no hormonal effects from getting a vasectomy. As far as I know, you can fact check me. So much of the pregnancy prevention is on women, which, okay, I guess it makes sense. We're the one that carries the baby, but that's also a burden that's on women. Like, yes, a woman can take the pill. They can get an IUD. She can take a Plan B pill. If she gets pregnant, she maybe can get an abortion, but that's highly controversial. I don't even know if I should have said that word on YouTube. And that's actually under threat and becoming unavailable to some women already. So yeah, if you're a man watching this, I will give you medical advice. Get a vasectomy. I think that vasectomies are hot. Vasectomies are attractive. My partner has a vasectomy. I find that very attractive. I'm like, wow, this guy cares about women. He doesn't want the whole burden of pregnancy prevention to be on me. That feels good. I was actually able to take out my IUD and not switch to a different birth control method because us as a couple are protected. It's really fucked out there, guys. Like, I don't know if you heard of the woman who got arrested, felony charges for having a miscarriage. I'll throw that article up and put a link for it as well because this is the world we're living in. And we need to talk about it. We need to talk about this shit. The world is just constantly shifting and changing, so we're rolling with the punches, doing what we can do. I will do my part of just sharing information because I have this platform and there's people to see it. Let me know what you guys thought of this video in the comments. I really appreciate everyone who watches the channel and supports me. And like I said, this channel's for the girls, so hey, thanks for being a mooner. Shout out to my mom. Shout out to my sister. Shout out to Zibel. She's one of the main girl mooners I can think of. Wow, I've been filming for 48 minutes. This is a lot longer than I was expecting. Guys, if you're watching and you don't want to get a girl pregnant, don't put the burden on her. Go get a vasectomy. Trust me, girls think it's hot. Vasectomy, sexy. Just, yes, give me that. Girls, spread the word. If we just make it a trend, like, vasectomies are the new thigh tat. Vasectomies are the new man bun. That'll get all the guys on board. Well, mooners, keep on mooning. I love you guys. After this next clip, you'll probably love me too.
You're beginning to feel very relaxed, maybe even a little bit sleepy. After watching this video clip, you're gonna become my biggest fan, and you're gonna have the sudden urge to go check out my website, where you can find all of the amazing vibes that I have to offer. Now, once I snap my fingers, you're gonna forget that you watched this clip at all. And if anyone asks you about it, you're just gonna answer, I don't know, baby.